Have you seen that Geico commercial with the camel?
Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
I'm not sure how this is supposed to sell car insurance, but hump day, for those of you who are as slow as I am, is Wednesday, because then you're over the hump of the work week. So last year, during finals week at the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota, some students proposed bringing a camel to celebrate making it over the hump of finals. The result? Controversy. The event was canceled. Why? Greg Lukianoff knows. He's with FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, and he specializes in tracking the endless claims of victimhood on college campuses. So what was wrong with Hump Day?
Well, first people started arguing that it was animal cruelty, but the camel was a local camel, by the way, so what else was it going to do on that Wednesday? And then someone made the argument that it was offensive to Middle Eastern people, even though Middle Eastern people were never mentioned in the entire course of the Hump Day thing, and it was a reference to a funny Geico commercial. So they canceled the event in the face of just random claims that people were offended.
And looking at schools, which is your job, this is what you're finding a lot of, that
Yeah, I've done this for 15 years, and it seems like the bar for being offended has gotten very, very low.
because there's some reward in it.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been passing out these cards. I'll give you one. You're a victim. You get out of responsibility. But what's in it for the schools or the students?
Well, you get to silence people you disagree with. It allows you to get speakers you dislike disinvited. It allows you to get professors you dislike punished. It's an all-purpose weapon.
Well, the latest thing in campus victimhood is the microaggression, because you are not aware of your own sexism or racism. You don't realize that some of your comments are aggressive acts, microaggressions. Stephen Colbert asked one of his guests about it.
So what's a microaggression?
It's some of the faux pas. It's sort of like being shocked that a black person is articulate.
So microaggressions are not the same thing as racism?
It's covert racism. It's sort of racism that's hidden under the surface.
All right, I get that saying to a black person you're so articulate is obnoxious, but what I don't get is, like, some of the other ones. Give me some examples.
America is a melting pot, for example, that was listed as a microaggression.
What's wrong with that?
I guess it's because people, the implication is that people should become part of a melting pot. I don't even really understand that one, I gotta say. I think the one that the person who has the most merit got the job, which was, these are all listed by the University of California system, by the way, as actual microaggressions.
You should not say that the person with the best skills got the job.
Exactly, because that's insulting to the person who didn't get the job. That's a microaggression.
They also say you should not criticize race-based affirmative action.
Right. And they extended it to political opinions. And they didn't seem to see anything wrong with taking things that are flat-out political opinions and saying, that's actually, by the way, a tiny form of violence against victims.
And yet it's confusing to me. There's an inconsistency. Some college students are so sensitive that these microaggressions hurt them, but others embrace very honest, edgy talk about things like racial differences. They go to movies like this one.
Dear white people, please stop touching my hair. Does this look like a petting zoo to you?
The show is racist.
Black people can't be racist.
You've got a thing for Taylor Swift. I know, because my Mac picks up your Mac's library.
We're so careful. You don't understand. Girls like me
have to pick a side.
When I was in college, that would have just been taboo.
Well, I mean, microaggressions are interesting things to study, but the problem is schools like Ithaca College, for example, are starting to police them. They're trying to set up reporting mechanisms so you can actually say, oh, there was a microaggression committed against me.
You could post it on the internet.
Exactly. And what's so funny is they seem to think that this is going to increase dialogue along lines of difference. If you have to walk on eggshells, if anything unconscious you can say can be a tiny form of violence, then people just aren't going to bother talking to each other.
Recently, in response to claims that there's an epidemic of sexual assault on campus, and that can be debated, many colleges passed rules and some states passed laws that are supposed to protect women by defining the consent that's needed before a couple can have sex. California's law says consent must be ongoing throughout a sexual activity. That means, I guess, a woman must repeatedly say, yes, please proceed. I doubt many college students do that, and you young people in the audience are laughing at it, but it is the law. And it made me wonder how crazy this could get. So as a test, we invented a printed consent form that college kids would be required to sign before initiating sexual activity. And this would have to be signed by the initiating sexual partner and the non-initiating sexual partner. It governs hand-holding, kissing, petting. We took these to one of the top-ranked universities in the country, Columbia University, where we assumed students would laugh at it. It was meant to be a joke, but few laughed. Most took it seriously.
Do you think that colleges involve themselves too much in what goes on in your sex life?
No, I think that they don't involve themselves enough.
Something needs to be done. I'm not sure that this is the right way, but I think that women need more protection.
It could come to this. I would hope that it wouldn't have to come to this, but I mean, at this rate, who knows?
Now, some women who I know would say, look, women get raped on campus.
Right.
What's the harm of these consent laws?
Well, I'm of the radical opinion that I want rapists to be put in jail, not kicked out of school. And we've taken the exact wrong attitude about how we handle this issue. And the affirmative consent approach is the worst of all. So California passes this rule that essentially means you are guilty until proven innocent. Oh, and by the way, you can't actually prove yourself innocent. Because by its plain
Unless
language...
you tape recorded the whole event.
You'd have to tape record literally the entire thing from beginning to end. Because if you only taped a portion of it, that wouldn't necessarily be ongoing consent. So it's just an incredibly foolish idea to pass something that's so broad that it turns everybody potentially into a rapist and then just trust power only to punish the ones who are actually guilty. That's crazy.
And yet you say 1,400 schools have these requirements.
Every school now, I think every state school in New York and every school in California.
Yet the kids must laugh at it. I can't believe anybody having sex gets repeated consent.
That's what I find so strange. Is there's such
If you believe it here, is this a good thing? Nobody. All right.
It's such an incredible trust in power. It's kind of like, okay, sure, I'm guilty. Like you can find me guilty any time of rape if you want, administrators, but I trust you.